One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Since the beginning of time, humanity has looked forward to new frontiers, from braving the oceans to find new lands to climbing the tallest peaks. This journey has continued as humans have looked up towards the sky and wondered what we can find up there. This first step was finally realized when humans traveled to the moon. But did this really happen? In the 1960s, the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a war for technological supremacy. The Cold War was culminating into a space race between the two superpowers. The Soviet Union had the upper hand by bringing the first man, Yuri Gagarin, into space. However, the United States had a plan to get a leg up in the war. In 1961, President of the United States John F. Kennedy made a risky commitment to send men to the moon by the end of the decade.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. If we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat and stresses several times more than have ever been experienced, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival, on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
On July 16, 1969, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins boarded the Apollo 11 spacecraft bound for the moon. Over 600 million people across the world watched as the live historic achievement for humanity unfolded. The astronauts landed safely on the moon, planted the U.S. flag, and made it back home. This event has sparked long-standing speculation on the validity of the broadcast, including many claims as to why the moon landing seemed to be fake. From there being no stars in the background, to the speculation as to why the flag seemed to wave if there was no wind, to Coke cans rolling across the so-called set. No one, however, was as impactful in spreading the conspiracy around the globe as Bill Kaysing. Kaysing was an avid denier of the moon landing even before the mission took place. According to Kaysing, he had a hunch, an intuition, a true conviction, and decided that he did not believe that anyone was going to the moon. Thus, in 1976, Kaysing published a book entitled We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion Swindle. According to Kaysing, NASA launched an empty rocket that fell back to Earth as soon as it left public view. He goes on to claim that the videos of the moon landing were produced artificially on a lunar surface stage in Area 51.
Have you really thought about what it would take to fake a moon landing? Because the rocket did launch. We all saw the rocket launch, okay? So there's hardware there. They're like office buildings of blueprints for the design of the Saturn V rocket. The hundreds of engineering hours that went behind this and the records of those designs. If you wanted to fake the moon landing, you would have to fake all of these documents. And it just seems to me, it's way easier to just go to the moon. Has anyone considered that? Just go to the moon. That's easier than faking all of this. So, no, but yeah, we went to the moon.
Do you believe we went to the moon, or do you believe it's a conspiracy?
I know we went. I know we went to the moon. Damien says as well that it was so hard to shoot the moon in this. Like, so many things happened that it sort of after he'd finished shooting it, it was like there's no way they could have faked it because it was so hard to actually make a film.
Just from a technical standpoint,
yeah,
he says.
so difficult. The light and the shadow.
He's saying it would have been harder to fake the moon landing than to actually go to the moon.
At a certain point, he was like, it probably would have been easier.
What conspiracy theorists say is that he's too well lit. You can see him clearly, yet he's in this black shadow of the LEM. There's only one light source on the moon. That's the sun. Conspiracy theorists claim there must be a second one making him visible, and we're going to find out.
And to do just that, the guys are going to shine a substitute sun on the very model of a modern miniature landing module. The guys black out the set. Only missing component is a moon dust analog that accurately reflects the reflective quality of the real stuff.
The dust that covers the moon is called regolith. When the sunlight shines upon the moon, regolith reflects a certain amount of sunlight back towards Earth. That reflective quality is called its albedo. We just showed with this test is that our sample regolith has a reflective index of about 8%, which makes it ideal for us to test with.
The mock-up moon's ready for its close-up, so it's probably time to up the jeopardy. Cue our resonant drama king.
This is the moment of truth. We've got an accurately shaped and textured moon lander, and we've concocted an accurate moon surface that has the same reflectivity index as the actual moon. If the myth is to be believed, our astronaut on the dark side in the shadow of the lander is gonna just fade to total black when we try and take a picture of him. All right, you ready?
I'm set.
All right, here we go. Taking the photo. Let's see. There it is.
Oh, there you go. He's standing full on in the shadow, and you'd think you wouldn't be able to see him. He'd be dark, but he's not. He's in brightest day.
The myth here is that you would not be able to see this astronaut this clearly unless there was a secondary fill light illuminating him. Because he's in the shadow and there's only one light source on the moon, he would, by definition, be black. Our photo here proves just the opposite. That with a single light source, with the surface of the same reflectivity as the moon, our astronaut is clearly visible, busting that myth.
There have been many debates over issues with the worldwide broadcast. Why are there no stars? How could Hollywood producers be so careless as to omit obvious things from the night sky? NASA argues that their cameras weren't set up for such a thing. If you want to take a picture in direct sunlight, you would constrict the amount of light entering the camera the same way as your pupils dilate with bright light. When it is really dark, you would widen the amount of light entering for a good shot. NASA said that their cameras were set to a high shutter speed with a small aperture in order to capture a sharp, bright picture of astronauts on the moon. However, this wouldn't send enough light leading to a black sky. Could NASA be lying? Is this a soundstage conspiracy, or just a trick of the lens? Many conspiracists also point to the flag. The United States flag planted on the moon has been a symbolic victory for Americans ever since it was put up. However, many Americans still point to it as a main piece of evidence as to why the landing could have been fake. In the 1969 broadcast, when Buzz Aldrin erected the flag on the moon, many people pointed out that the flag seemed to be moving, almost waving in the wind. which proves that the moon landing took place on a celestial body with an atmosphere. NASA stated that they were aware that the moon had no atmosphere, so they designed a horizontal latching mechanism for the flag. However, the flag had wrinkles in it, which gave the appearance of motion in photography, along with the movement of the flag, which caused it to ripple. How did Casing's conspiracy spread so far? How is it possible that approximately 6% of Americans believe that the moon landing was fake? Ever since Casing's book, We Never Went to the Moon, America's $30 billion Swindle, the conspiracy spread like wildfire. This, however, could have indicated a larger problem involving government trust, as just a few years before the release of the book, citizens read the leaked Pentagon Papers, showing that the Johnson administration had been systematically lying about the Vietnam War. Casing went on to write numerous books about all 6 Apollo missions and claimed them to be fake. Numerous documentaries were made about his claims, the most famous being a documentary from 2001 entitled Conspiracy Theory: Did We Land on the Moon?, with Casing even appearing in the film. Since the release of Casing's first book in the mid-70s, conspiracy theorists have garnered supporters and developed many films, articles, and books disputing the validity of the landing.
I'm a non-believer of the moon landing because there are several images that show the unparalleled shadows on the moon. There's a photo of the American flag waving, but there's no wind on the moon. And we were also in a space race with Russia, and Russia was way more technological advanced than we were back then. So we wanted to beat them, so we faked it.
I think the moon landing was real because there's no reason for us to fake it in the first place.
The moon landing was clearly fake because the aliens would have attacked the astronauts.
Look, I'm just saying, there's absolutely no way that the moon landing was real. There's no way. We did it all the way back in the 60s, all right? Are you telling me that we hadn't figured out cell phones, but we could get to the moon? 1. And then 2, if you've seen any of those photos of them supposedly walking around on what they call the moon, they've got shadows going multiple different directions. You only get lighting like that on one of them dadgum fancy movie set things with all the big umbrella-shaped lights. No. There's no way. Do we even know that the moon's real?
As of 2022, the moon landing conspiracy has spread far and wide. There are many different types of people who believe the landing was fake. How could this be? Why do people believe it, even though it has been debunked so many times? The 6% of Americans who believe in the conspiracy are not just uneducated people, but a wide variety of individuals from many different backgrounds.
What is your major or area of study?
So I'm a dual enrollment student right now, but I will be a marine biology major when I do come to UWF, and I have 2 minors in mind as well.
All right. Do you believe in the moon landing?
Yes, I do.
All right. Can you explain why or why not?
So I believe in it, 1, because of the amount of evidence bringing stuff back, the fact that it was filmed up there as well. I know a lot of people think that's far-fetched, and I can understand why, and along with the flag, I've seen documentaries about how that actually worked, so it can seem far-fetched, but I believe it happened.
All right, thank you. Do you believe in the moon landing?
I believe that we went to the moon eventually. At some point, obviously, duh. But like, I believe that move, like the actual picture, is way. I don't say it's completely fake. I say that altered.
Altered?
For sure. We just wanted to beat the Russians. That's really all it was.
Yeah. And then
like because they're the ones that got to space first.
Right. Yeah.
Successfully. They're like, oh no, we can't let the Soviets beat us. Oh, this is America. We got to get to the moon. So we just did what we had to do to come out on top.
So you're saying it's about the actual politics?
It's way more about politics than science. But then again, welcome to NASA. So I mean, if we want there for us, just say it. What's the harm? We already beat Russia. We already won the Cold War. You feel me? So I mean, we can't. Might as well any lies that came with the Cold War, just tell the truth, man. Because it's not. We can't. I mean, it's the past for one. We just want to know the truth.
The Occam's razor principle, the simplest explanation for an event, is almost always the best. Shave away any extraneous assumptions, and what you've got left is usually the truth.
So what are you studying?
I'm studying biomedical sciences at UWF. I'm a freshman.
Okay.
All right.
That's really cool. So do you believe in the moon landing?
I'm a bit skeptical. The videos I would see in high school and stuff, it was the flag was moving and there's no air. So that's probably the only reason.
Okay.
I think it's cool. So.
You think it's cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other reasons you might be skeptical?
I just also don't think our technology was that advanced back then.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, because like a couple years before they went to space and they came down like burning or whatever, but yeah. I just don't know that much about it.
Can you think of any motives that might have led the government to lie about the moon landing?
I mean, it was like the Cold War had just happened, so I mean, Russia already beat the United States to space, so I feel like they just want to like one-up them for some reason.
Right. All right, well, thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks.
In some cases, the very nonsense of a conspiracy theory may actually be an attempt to make the world make more sense. Many of these conspiracy theorists try to rationalize the world with outlandish ideas when the easiest solution is most likely the answer.
What are you studying here?
General business.
All right.
Exercise science. Exercise science.
All right. Do you think the moon landing is fake?
No, I do not. Because why would we fake it? I do not. I listened to a bunch of podcasts the other day about it. No, I don't see why we'd fake it. It's just kind of there.
Okay. Do you think that the government would lie to us?
Yeah. Not about that, though.
Okay.
It depends. Like, I mean, it's possible.
Yes, but not something so drastic like that. It's a huge accomplishment. If we lie about that, then there's something wrong.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Another reason why the moon landing hoax has spread could be the desire to be apart from the crowd. Researchers believe that that could be a reason why factual evidence rarely seems to change a theorist's mind when there's almost no backing to stand on.
Study or what do you do?
I'm in law school and I work with a criminal defense firm here in town.
All right. Do you believe in the moon landing?
I think it's plausible. But
Okay.
it's just as plausible that it didn't happen.
Okay. Any particular reasons you can think of?
Why or why not? Well, I don't, like I said, I really don't know enough about it to have an opinion, but I think that, the government's told us things that were not untrue before. So
Certainly.
It's important to be skeptical.
Right. A healthy level of skepticism for everything the government says.
Yeah, most things the government says.
While many of the different ideas moon landing deniers have come up with face the scrutiny of fact checkers, the human mind is its own rational agent. It will believe what it wants to believe. That could be an explanation as to why casings belief have become so popular in the last few decades. In the last 53 years, there have been countless theories and explanations to prove the moon landing was a hoax. From casings theories to many different internet sites arguing against the validity of the 1969 broadcast. Everything from Cold War antics, a flag waving in space, the lack of stars in the night sky, and Area 51 sound stages. Bill Casing's conspiracy has indeed spread far and wide across the world and will no doubt still be perpetuated going forward. In 2018, NASA announced that they have plans for going back to the moon. These new Artemis missions will land the first woman and the first person of color on the moon, with the landings expected to take place in 2024. With moon landings now in our lifetime, along with better filming technology and spaceflight, we will be able to watch for ourselves in high definition. It will be up to each of us to decide whether these new landings are fake or not. Many people from many different backgrounds and education levels seem to believe we either never went or went eventually, but not in the 60s. Many of these people are our own peers at UWF. With all the evidence presented, however, you will have to decide for yourself. Was the landing fake, or did we actually go to the moon and broadcast it for the whole world to see? Did we trick the world for a leg up in a war between superpowers, or did we achieve a human achievement that we will learn about for ages?
Neil Armstrong might have been the first person to walk on the moon, but I was the first person to pee in his pants on the moon.